Hello and welcome to another episode of Epic Sketch Time. I'm going to be your host this week. My name is Mark Monlux. I'm a freelance illustrator in Tacoma, Washington. I have a couple books out. They're called The Comic Critic Presents Seldom Seen Films and The Comic Critic Presents Blockbusters. Both of them are compilations of cartoon movie reviews. If you'd like to check those out, send me a direct link via my email, which you can access through my website, which is in the link of descriptions below. And with me today, I have, gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
I am Bill Morse. I'm an illustrator in Seattle, Washington, and I do a web comic called Rhapsodies. Just called Rhapsodies.
Hi, I'm Nguyen. I'm actually a freelance artist, graphic artist from Toronto, and I don't have a comic right now, but I have a pub crawl anthology that's on Kickstarter right now. So if you go to quick Kickstarter, you can actually look up pub crawl anthology, and yeah, that's it.
I saw the finished piece of what you were working on last time on your Tumblr account. Came out great.
Yeah, just the I did the black and white pinup, then I decided to color it, but it was just they asked me to do a set of pinups for the book. But the actual 8 pages, did you see the 8 pages? Oh, no, I didn't post all the 8 pages, of course, but
no, just the big hulking egg-headed thing patting the rogue pirate on the shoulder.
Yeah. That was just something they asked me to draw something fun that has to do with a pub, and you figure a guy, big hulky thing knocking over somebody's drinks or something like that.
Speaking of big hulky things, I have a project I need to start working on. I've been accepted into Emerald City Comic Con, and Emerald City has this thing they do for charity called Monsters and Dames. And what it is you have to be accepted to the show and exhibiting in order to qualify to submit artwork for this book, in which you submit a monster and a dame. And I've submitted pieces in the past that haven't been accepted. I've gotten into the book once, and that piece of art is now on my business card. I'm rather proud of it. It also won an illustration award with a marketing effort here in town called Northwest Marketing. An award ceremony that sadly is they stopped doing their awards this last year. But anyway, I'm still quite proud of that. That piece was of a little girl who was inside a robotic tiki on some island beach at night, and the tiki was stomping on one-eyed monsters that were running away from her. So it was kind of PG rated. Last year's submission was a Bigfoot that was trailing after a little girl who was tossing cookies from the back of a radio flyer. She was a Girl Scout, and she was going down an old dirt road. But that didn't get in. And another one I submitted years before was a little girl mechanic inside a garage with a monster that took up so much room inside this car chassis that there wasn't room for anything else. And I also did something really quickly that didn't deserve to be in, called I Married a Squid from Outer Space, which is basically a guy with a squid head, but it was done, I drew it like in less than 20 minutes because I was desperate just to submit anything. And let's see, I think I'll see if I can open up the Inktober's that I've been working on. How about you, Locke? Have you been doing any Inktober's this year?
No, I got up to 11 11 pages, day 11, and because I had to finish the comic, I had to put it on hold. So I was thinking of continuing and trying to catch up, but it's kind of really, really late now.
Yeah, just a second. Here's my week batch. I'm not sure this one. So anyway, we have Chop and Mud.
Oh, nice.
And Prickly and Thunder.
I like the Prickly and Thunder. Those are very nice.
Stretch and Gift.
Did you fill in the Gift one with all black later on?
Yes, I did. It was kind of a cheat. I liked I figured normally I broke my rules because, I mean, I didn't think the color of hatching would work in this one, so I broke my self-imposed rules and just colored it in Photoshop. And then finally today's Double.
Oh, nice.
Well done. So the ones that I've done, once again, I'm trying to come up with obscure movie monsters. And this is a Chinese one called, the translation is The Oily Maniac from 1976 or 79. Let's see. Imagine something like The Incredible Hulk, but made out of oil and kind of Swamp Thing looking-ish. So, oh, this one's upside down. This is the Bat Rat God creature from Graveyard Shift. And this is from a classic film called The Wasp Woman. The Monster Under the Bed. And, oh, this is a really awful one. The God Monster of Indian Flats. I think Mystery Science Theater 3000 did an episode. I don't know. But if you're going to watch this movie, definitely watch it with some people who want to tear the movie apart because it deserves no love. Let's see what else I have here. Oh, yes. Sting of Death with quite possibly one of the worst costumes ever. That's actually a semi-transparent plastic bag that has a human head under it. You can't really see because the guy's wearing a plastic bag on his head. And it kind of looks like he's got Mardi Gras beads or ribbons as stingers covering over what looks like a very ill-fitting wetsuit. So it is just abysmal. If you search it out online, it's terrible. Oh, and this is from a movie called The Flesh Eaters. A unique movie in that it was pretty ahead of its time as far as gore goes. It's considered the grandfather of gore movies. It was kind of shocking that the censors let it get by. And The Deadly Mantis. Basically a giant mantis attacking people. And that's what I've been drawing this week. And today I'm going to be working on coloring this obscure movie, Alien. It conquered the world. Now, I've seen this movie many times, but I'm guessing neither one of you guys have seen it.
I think you sent me the link to a YouTube clip of it to show just how ridiculous it was, or I might be getting it mixed up with the one with the tree creature.
Oh, you might, the tree creature and this creature both have runners-up or worst costume design ever. At one point, if you look really carefully, you can see this thing coming out of a cave, and lower left-hand corner, if you keep your eyes peeled, you can see the 2x4 that's pushing it out of the cave to attack the battalion of soldiers that have guns and bazooka, and it gets taken out. Oh wow! I don't want to give you a spoiler alert. I'll let you guys.
Yeah.
Endure.
Here's some scan of my Inktober, the 11th day. I was gonna make a zine out of it at the end of it. I was just following the prompt, right? So a lot of it is just like I was trying out this new brush pen that I got. So we got a little crazy with the watercolor wash. Then the second day was I think Tranquil. So again, playing around with the brush. Then something like Roasted. Using more of the Copic pens, liners, and a brush mix. Then Spell. Then Chicken.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Right? Some sort of zombie chicken or something.
Cool.
And Drooling, right? As you can see, I get better with the brush, right? And I'm getting better lines with the brush, better mix with the brush. Then my last day was called Exhausted. Right? It was just perfect timing because then the following day I had to finish the comics and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much. I made it up to 11.
Well, they're all phenomenal, sir.
Yeah, just more ink. More ink. Take a while. I forgot there's no undo once you put this stuff down,
Yeah. Before I dive in, I'm not going to be working on it today because it's sort of like it's pretty much I only have coloring left to do, and this isn't. But this is what I was working as far as I've gotten with what I was working on last time.
Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I think the only thing I really need to work on is Caitlin there. I probably have to do her face all over again. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this.
It looks pretty good, Bill. Very nice work. Well, I won't be around next Monday to post Epic Sketch Time.
When's Thanksgiving?
Isn't it on the 25th?
22nd.
22nd November? Oh, okay. I'm a little right. Okay. I'm thinking Remembrance Day.
Right.
Is that Monday?
I think it's a Monday, the 11th, I think, or something, or the following Monday.
I think you might be right.
I think maybe the 12th? No, Remembrance Day falls on a Sunday, I think.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's your version of Veterans Day, but I never remember if it's anywhere close to ours or not.
Yeah. I think it's the same day. It's just up here it's called Remembrance Day. I'm trying to pre-book all my cons for next year. Notice a lot of the cons are posting up, tables and stuff like that. So I'm contacting a lot of my the local artists that I hang out with and say, hey, are you going to go? And, see if we can get tables next to each other.
Are you going to be doing E2C2 next year?
No, I'm known in that crowd. I think that's what it is. I'm going to slowly try to get myself a little bit more recognition first before I actually start diving and going across the border, right?
Ah, yes. So you're talking about the various festivals that they have then.
Yeah, yeah. No, up here we have things like, Montreal has a Comic Con, Ottawa has a Comic Con, those things, the big cities here. I'm gonna try to stick around the province I'm in right now, or the states, if you guys want to know. That's the area I'm in. Mostly the big cities, Hamilton, Niagara Falls. Then probably might be able to do something down in Buffalo, New York, around there. Something a little closer by. Then I'll figure it out, because I just need to figure out the logistics of things. Looking for like somebody who can actually print and maybe drop ship stuff for me. That's really what it is, instead of trying to ship everything all at once, or drive with a car.
There were 2 shows this weekend, rather weekend-ish. On Friday, I was with Russ Richards, and we went to an evening show called Night Gallery, which is a horror-themed show. Very small crowd, just around 300 or 400 people, I would say. Not more than that. But I did it last year, and I made a lot of money last year. This year, and I was surprised I made any money last year, because there were only 8 vendors, and I was a little surprised at how thin the attendance was. But the pocketbook doesn't lie, and I was really pleased by the result. This year, word got out, and there were 31 vendors there. A couple people canceled at the last couple of hours. Some people canceled ahead of time, but they quickly got, like, I was originally going to go with Mark Brill, another illustrator here in Tacoma. However, he had family issues, and instead, Russ Richards bought his table space once I told him, hey, Brill sold back his table. I don't think Russ will do the show next year, though, as he didn't do as well as normally. Russ does better than I do at shows, but this time he didn't do as good. And I thought he had plenty of horror stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, we just had this thing over the weekend. First there was Indie Fest. Then that was pretty much a lot of the comic book stores were giving away free comic books, but all indie comics. And they asked a lot of artists, to show up, do sketches. So I was pretty much at a comic book shop all weekend doing that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there was a big event that was happening called Horrorama. It's like downtown Toronto. It's all like that. Then I think the previous weekend they had the Hannibal Fest. It's based on the TV show Hannibal.
Yeah.
Apparently that was really well. I had some artist friend who had a lot of stuff. They did well there, but it's all Hannibal related stuff. So
This weekend there was a 2-day event in Seattle called Geek Girl Con. That's GEEK Girl, GIIR. Pardon me, GIRL. Can't even spell girl. And Stowe was at that event. He reports that he had a pretty good time. He said there was a little less, fewer people tabling than last year, because they didn't manage to get as much space as last year for the venue. You know how things go at various places. You try to get as much space as you can and then fill it up. Well, apparently this venue had people lined up for the other locations, so couldn't do the whole building. Stowe has a Kickstarter going on right now where he's got a book called Sidekick Quest, and it is his second book.
Nice.
And also the playbook for the game he made on which Sidekick Quest is based. And it's for people who have kids who want to teach their kids role-playing, a fairly well cut down version of Dungeons and Dragons, you might say. I saw Stowe earlier today at another drawing group I go to. Well, it's less of a drawing group, but more of a freelancers group called Freelance Fandango. And for people who are watching, Stowe is James Stowe is the man who started Epic Sketch Time, and who I hope will take over the reins once he gets his internet problem taken back.
So is he getting any closer to it after last time?
No, like I said, he did suffer some technical difficulties. I think he's going to try to give it another couple of shots, but he's a little busy today. Not a couple years ago, his family bought on a brand new car, first new car they ever bought, and about 2 weeks ago, his wife was out driving, and some guy ran a stoplight and T-boned her.
She okay?
Oh yeah, she's fine, because it's sort of like a little minivan, and all 9 airbags in that minivan went off, and so she didn't get any whiplash whatsoever. However, apparently, so many airbags make it so that the insurance want to call that car a loss, because it costs more to replace the airbags than to replace the car.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I was a little surprised.
I'm glad they did their job, but I always assumed that there would be easier to do than that. CO2 and everything.
So he was out looking at cars. He's having to deal with a rental. The insurance for the rental has already passed, so he's having to pay out of pocket at this point. And they're thinking they might have to go without a car for a little while. And rather than invest all that, because they were having to deal with that payment. And I'm not sure how his insurance is set up, but it sounds like he has the option of not buying a car. I think my insurance requires that I would replace the car with one of equal value.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying that they'd probably get a used car, especially since his son is now getting to the point where he's going to be taking driving lessons. It's hard for me to imagine it's kids driving, but I guess kids grow up, right?
So I'm told.
How about you, Locke? How far away are your kids from driving?
The oldest one is 12, so I still got 4 years left ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not looking forward to that. I just dealt with my father-in-law's driving thing.
Your father-in-law?
Yeah, my father-in-law, he's 77, and he got just, I don't know, 8 months ago, he got 3 speeding tickets, like, yeah, and a reckless driving. He changed lane without looking, and he took out another guy's bumper. So they, they start you off here with I think 15 or 16 point systems, and the speeding ticket, he was like going, I don't know, like 20 miles over or something like that. That's at least 3 points and stuff like that. So you're looking at 9 points, and the reckless driving is another 4 points or something like that. He's like down to 2 points. So they called him in the court, and they asked him to do his eye exam. Then he passed that. His hearing exam is passed that, but he failed his driving exam. So the past 4 months or so, we've been his regular driver's license went back down to as if you're starting off what we call a G1 here in Canada. So it's one of those where you can't drive after dark, like after 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or something like that, and you can't go on the freeway or the highway. And if you are going to drive, you're going to have a licensed driver in the car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then, you got to take your exam and all that other stuff. So you pretty much failed 3 times. The insurance company decided to say, well, he's 77. He's failing for a reason. So we'll just not insure him. So that's the problem. And that's what we were doing every weekend, or weeknights or something, just going around, driving, picking them up and taking them grocery shopping and vice versa. So it's like another kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but just a couple weeks ago, he passed. Then we had to scramble and look for an insurance company, and the insurance, I think we found one, but he's looking at $6,000 a year.
Yikes.
Yeah. They start you all off again, right? Because it like the insurance company that he worked with says, no, we're not going to insure you, right? We're giving you until November. That's it, right? So yeah, it's as if you're starting off new and all that stuff. So now, he can't have, well, his driver's license back to normal, but again, it's one of those things where it's 0 tolerance for like at least 2 years or something like that. So yeah, no speeding, no blood alcohol level of 0, that kind of stuff. So yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah. My dad is 85, 87, something like that.
Right.
Still driving.
Yeah.
My mom's also still driving, but neither one of them will drive after dark simply because they know that they're just not up to it anymore.
Right.
And they're not up for a long drive. Like the most my dad can do is an hour at most. And then his legs will start getting the better of him. But yeah, it's not in the not too distant future. We'll probably be looking at him not driving anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like a volunteer up here too, right? Once you reach 80, I think they mandatory take you back, and they just check on you. They bring you into a room and they showed you different signs and stuff, and say, what is this? Is this a stop sign? Is this a, those kind of things for about, I think, like 20, 30 minutes. They just want to make sure you don't have dementia or anything like that. And they, that's it. But most people around that age eventually will turn up. It's all voluntary, right? You just turn in your own driver's license. So, but I'm hoping for a self-driving car by that time when I'm retired. So.
People haven't mentioned how, self-driving cars are reliant on the internet, aren't they?
Yeah.
So my parents live out in the middle of boondocks nowhere. They get no cell phone reception. I'm just doing a last minute check on this image to make sure that there aren't any little specks of black. A friend of mine who's a photographer taught me this technique. It's just a grid format. You just pick your size, start at the left, go over to the right, and do not move up and down. You just hit the grid one notch at a time. And it's actually the fastest way to go about and clean up photographs. Because if you're moving around all the time, you're really not tracking where you are. Especially when you're zoomed in as much as this. Locke, what are you drawing today?
I'm thinking of doing like a Wonder Woman-ish, but with like older armor, you know, with fur and leather and stuff like that. I need to work on some new pieces, so just that's pretty much it. I mean, like November 17th is my last convention, and after that, I'm just gonna work on new pieces, get things ready for next year, April, May. I'm still waiting for a friend of mine to send me the 12-page script so I can actually work on it, so I can actually have issue 2 ready for, I think, April also too. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So just working on new pieces, just trying to put a little bit more dynamic into my characters, more poses, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, that reminds me of what I was talking about, the monsters and dames. Any ideas on what I should do for a monster and a dame? They recommend not having them riding monsters because that's been done to death. And they also recommend not having the monster on the leash. And let's see. I think there was one other thing they recommend you not doing with a dame and a monster. You have to keep it PG-13, so.
How about a blind date at a soda fountain?
Interesting.
Sort of like a Norman Rockwell spoof.
I am writing that one down. That's actually a pretty good idea. I'm going to have to do some color research on this monster. It's a black and white film. But given that it's a crab, I'm going to assume that it's going to be orange or red in color. But I should double check my, see if there's any color photo shoots that were, photographs that were made as promotional materials. Locke, what's that tool you're using right there?
Which one here?
Yeah.
Just scale tool. I'm scaling. Control T for transform. Right, so just hit Control T and you get your transform tool. Photoshop has the same thing, so select the layer you want to be in. Normally what I do is like if I'm drawing face or something, because I usually take up as much of the canvas as possible to put the detail in, then I scale it down a little bit, then I draw the rest of the body and I scale that down until it fits the page I want, right? Because I'm still doing my rough, right?
Right.
So that way I give myself, so now if I need to move thing, I just gotta, you know, transform. I'm moving that layer or just move the layer itself, but what I'm doing is I'm just transforming the brush area that I'm drawing, so then that way I can get in the knee and all that other stuff. Then what a year! What a year!
Oh, did you have a fun week last week?
It was a lot of fun. It was. I just went and wasn't expecting a lot. It was all indie fests, a lot of indie comics that were giving away, but a lot of the time it was our chance to meet up with all old friends, all the artist friends, because we pretty much get scattered all over the place. Some goes to just came back from New York and all the other places and stuff. So yeah, it was kind of fun being all in, like you show up at cons and it's hit and miss, right? So sometimes some of your friends are there, some are not. So, but it was kind of nice.
There was a bit of there was a steampunk convention down here that had a major problem. The organizers really, oh my God. A week before the event goes out or starts, they sent out a notification to everybody saying, sorry, but we're going to have to cancel the show. We don't have enough money to pay the venue. We didn't sell enough tickets. Apparently, they didn't most conventions that I know of model their the convention on not the tickets that they're going to be selling, but the tables and the venues. The vendors are what pay for the rental space. That's a surefire way that you're going to be paying for the event. If you also rely on ticket sales, then you're really going to be screwing the pooch. But I suppose if you're going to be bringing in people, that's also necessary. Well, anyway, they sent out a note saying, hey, we don't have the money. The money that we collected, sorry, but it's been sent, and so we're having to cancel the event, and there's no refunds.
Oh, wow.
So that little event may never happen again because, a lot of people, I know a guy, he's been working for months drawing pictures of animal skulls and bird skulls. He's got this wonderful fine line ink style. He uses quill pens, and then he puts these drawings into very ornate frames. And he was looking for this to be his moneymaker for the year. And so it's a real kick in the teeth for him. So,
Ouch.
yes. All my research says that this guy is bright red with white teeth and white little horns and white claws. It basically looks like the Santa Claus of evil villains.
Oh dear. If it had a body, it would look kind of like a what's his name from The Wizard of Oz?
It's going to look like a Christmas hat. That's what I can say.
Oh, it's fun. Speaking of that, I found a fairly good book on Norwegian Christmas stories, which may give me some ideas for my annual exercise of masochism. That is my holiday special. But apparently in Norway and Sweden, the wild hunt is part of Christmas.
Oh, interesting.
And I think I can use that. I mean, I don't know how good my translation is. I made a PDF of it at the college library and ran it through Google Translate, so...
Found that Google Translate does a pretty good job with Japanese. But when it comes to Persian, it really mangles it. It even does a nice job of giving you options for the various kanji combinations.
Huh.
In case you didn't know, there are 3 different alphabets in Japan.
I did know that, but yes.
There's a hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Hiragana and katakana are phonetic, and they're like alphabet words. And one was created to pronounce foreign words, so that you could tell that it was supposed to be something like, say, hot dog. But kanji is the most difficult one, with different symbols having multiple meanings
And multiple sounds.
multiple sounds, yeah. And if you, depending on what combination you put them together with other kanji, they have multiple changes, meanings as well. And formal Japanese is going to be difficult. Now, a lot of people are losing their literacy on kanji. And so you'll see some kanji that'll have either hiragana or katakana right next to it.
Oh, the furigana, I thought that was just for a lot of the kids' comics.
No, that's you can a lot of more modern things we're putting in there for people who.
Because I remember back when I occasionally was trying desperately to teach myself some of that stuff. I am buying some of the books at Uwajimaya. I found that extremely useful.
Bill, have you heard anything? Now, this is a complete rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if you've heard this same rumor that Uwajimaya is considering relocating out of Seattle.
I had not heard that rumor. I mean, considering there's a bit of a chain there that there's, I mean, because I know there's one in Bellevue, or at least used to be one in Bellevue.
I know that there's one down by the South Center because I go to that one quite a bit since it's a little nearer to me. I was hearing that they were upset with the police department not responding quickly enough and to the situations that they've been having with the homeless and the like.
Oh.
So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to decide what my, instead of using black, I want to use a tone value. I might use another tone value later on, but right now I'm using just a blue to add some depth shading. I'm just testing to see how this brilliant blue looks like if I tone it back just to various shades. I think I'm going to give it wider swatches, make those thicker. Look, we're going to be doing daylight savings time change here in the States pretty soon, at least in my state. Do you guys do daylight savings over there as well?
Yep, same time. Same time, moved it to sync with the US.
Oh, good, because I have some concerns that we might be losing you.
Oh, no. Same time. We were this weekend, a couple of the guys were looking at a vendor that's been downloading our artwork and selling it at his booth and printing.
Oh no!
So yeah, I think it was like last year. I forget where it was. One of our guys saw some artwork of his that was up there, and apparently he went and talked to the guy, just being nice. Said, "Hey, that's my artwork. You shouldn't be selling that," because he was selling his prints for, I think it was like $15, and the vendor was selling it for less than that, like $8 or something.
Right.
And he was like, "That kind of looks familiar. Where's that from?" And he was like, "I don't remember putting it up on DeviantArt or anything like that." And he remembered, he went back and he looked at it. It was on Instagram. So apparently he took it from Instagram and he went to talk to the guy, and the guy said, "Well, you know, whatever I found on the internet, it's fair game." And you go, "This is not right."
No, it's not. And the best thing you can do is just invoice that guy.
Well, then they start catching other artists too. Some other artists they were using. Then eventually they got all pissed off and they went to talk to the organizer because he was a vendor. They asked him to take it down, but he did take it down. But this time he showed up at another con just this weekend, and we were all texting our guys and say, "Hey, just keep an eye out for this guy, right? If he starts selling artwork like that, he'll be, because he's banned from the other show, right?" So yeah, he was just taking other people's artwork and just selling them, like printing them. I mean, they're not the best quality in the world, but you know.
I would still send him an invoice for usage.
Yeah, that's what I told my buddy there, but you know, he was telling the guy that hey, the vendor was saying, "Hey, you know, I'm doing you a favor, because if people like that artwork, they'll come and on your website and look up more of it and all that other stuff."
No, that's by exposure. No, that's
right. And we're all like shaking our head. We're like, "Oh my gosh," right?
Yeah, I mean, was the URL to that piece on the?
Yeah, no, but it was the guy was like, my artist friend was like, "Oh my god, I'm you know what I was impressed about was how he took my Instagram photo and blew it up, and it still looked a little bit sharp."
Mm-hmm.
He was selling 11x17 prints of everybody's artwork.
Oh man!
Right, and for like undercutting a lot of the artists and stuff like that. I'm like, this is, yeah, I know. It's just, and it's their art too, right?
Oh.
It sort of reminds me, there's something I keep meaning to look into it, though I haven't had the heart yet. One of my favorite brew pubs have been using the Ram has a bighorn sheep motif with a lot of their and one of the pints they have a very large the head of a creepy looking goat, and I'm looking at that and I'm saying, that's a puka. That's Alan Lee's picture of a puka from Fairies. Does Alan Lee know about this?
That's right. Then what was it? There was just over the summer, there was this other guy who took you know those Marvel figures, those big large figures for like $200 or something like that, $150 or so.
Yeah.
Those really detailed painted figures like Deadpool and, you know, all those things, right? They're, I don't know, they're like 2 feet tall figurines or something. And apparently he's been taking pictures and of the artwork of that, and putting splashy, painty, blurry effects around the edge and selling prints of that.
Oh boy. That is not smart, considering now, I mean, not that Marvel would have been nice to them beforehand, but now that they're the property of Disney.
Yeah, it's not even that. It was like, dude, you know, I understand that, you know, if I draw like Wonder Woman right now and I sell my own local prints and stuff like that, you know, I don't really own the license for it, right? But it is my kind of artwork for it. But if you decided to actually take, you know, photograph of a toy and put splashy work, and the thing was, it was he didn't even take the picture. He actually took those photographs of the toy, you know, by the toy manufacturer.
Oh man! For a second there, I thought you were saying he was being kind of clever by doing. I mean, I did a back when I was a photography major. I did a photo
Diorama
of a illustrated series of Cupid and Psyche, starring a couple of art mannequins I had.
Right. If there is actual artists at the show that actually did that. They bought the toy, they painted it, they built a complete scene out of it, like literally an Avenger from the movie scene, you know, the with the aliens and stuff, like, with wreckage and stuff like that. And they took pictures of that. I mean, they did all that. They brought the original piece with them, and then, you know, if you want to buy it, you can buy it off them for like a couple $1,000, but
Right.
you can buy prints of that, and that's great because you know what I mean. Like he put the lighting, he put the work into it, he did everything, right? So you know that it's not from Marvel. You know what I mean? Like he bought the toys, but no, this guy literally just went online and went to the toy company's website and took their photos of it and maybe crop a few things and put splashy things around it. But yeah.
I wonder what the Canadian copyright law is about derivatives, because in the U.S., a great deal of latitude is being given to derivatives.
I think it's the same. There's some benefit of the doubt, a lot of it to, I forget what it was. I forget how that works, but I know things like which downloading stuff and all the stuff is legal, but sharing is illegal. Like, you know what I mean? That's one of the things. So if you torrent something and you share it, that's illegal. But if you torrent it without sharing, then that's not illegal. I think that was one of the laws or something like that, because
there's a Supreme Court case that there was an issue dealing with I think it was one of the browsers and representing artwork via icons.
Right.
As long as it was said, no, they can use it as long as they torrent it from the original website. A browser can show the graphic that comes from a various website. It's considered, that part is considered fair use.
Right.
But the moment that they start putting a monetary attachment to it, then that wouldn't be fair use.
Right.
Now, so I'm guessing Canada decided to go along the same lines, but
yeah, it's pretty much the same. Whatever, a lot of the laws are pretty much up here, down in the U.S., right? Except, a lot of it is pretty much the same. Whatever passed down there, but you know. But it's usually at the federal level and all that stuff. But
yeah, I mean, I kind of assumed there was a lot of the unwritten stuff, like from the British law courts. But
yeah, it's just pretty much everything kind of mirrors whatever comes from the Queen of England is pretty much passed here too. So it's same type of law. A lot of the digital Right Act is the same. Kind of thing where net neutrality is more of a right up here than something where, you know, everybody's guaranteed net neutrality up here, except in the States now it's state by state, and they're, you know, the FCC is suing each other and all that crazy crap that's happening. It doesn't make sense, but up here we're kind of like, well, that's common sense, right? So
right.
Like we found that
there's no need to gloat, dude.
Yeah, no. I mean, the reason for it is we like in the U.S. there's a lot more competition at the time. Now for Canada, there's really two carriers, right? It's Bell and Rogers up here. They pretty much own everything. Then there's these little small guys all over the place, and you know they were throttling everybody. You know, Netflix and all this other stuff, unless you get their services. And that was a no-no. That's where, you know, we took the Digital Net Neutrality Act and said, this is just, doesn't make sense. And they said, no, we can police that. But no, we caught them a few times, right? A lot of people got caught, and the company got fined majorly, and now they're just like, okay, you know, it's not right. It's not right, right? Especially like artists like us, right? We have our own websites, and we need to make sure our stuff gets out. And if my Bell or Rogers, these companies says, no, you know, you got to pay me more if you want to be more exposed to the internet, then that can't be right, right?
You know, maybe I should have my legal friend Daniel Abraham on here as a guest.
Yeah, you should.
Just to talk about, because, oh man, when it comes to talking about gateways and limited access, he gets so hot underneath the collar.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Well, gentlemen, we have reached 5:30, and so I'm going to call this episode done. Again, there won't be one next week because I will be out of town, unless, Bill, you want to take this over.
Every time I try, I screw it up.
Okay. Then let me go ahead and get in here. So you have been watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. If you'd like to join Epic Sketch Time, there's a link below in the descriptions. Go there and sign up on our MailChimp subscription. You'll receive a notification on Sundays of the upcoming event on Monday. We typically are Mondays Pacific time at 4:30, except for U.S. federal holidays and whenever I'm sick or out of town. And we look forward to you guys coming in. Please sign up, and if you show up on Epic Sketch Time more than 3 times, you too can get a wonderful link in the doobly-doo down below. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Luck, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Have a good one.